All right, we're ready.
All right, hi everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight. We're here tonight to talk to you about successful transitions back to school. We know back to school is always a challenging time for a lot of our kids, and so we want to give you guys some strategies to be able to make that transition as smooth as possible. Some background, my name is Meghan Stuhmer. I'm the North San Diego Regional Director at MeBe. Some background, I'm originally from New York, moved out here to San Diego to attend college, loved it out here, been out here ever since. I've been in the field for about 12 years now. I've worked with children as young as 2 years old, all the way up through 21. And I've worked in a variety of settings as well. I've worked in community, school, as well as in-home.
And I am Marisa Tucci. I am a clinical supervisor at MeBe up in North County. I'm also an East Coaster from New Jersey, and I've been with MeBe for about 1.5 years now. I just moved out to San Diego in January 2020. Prior to that, I worked in the school setting for a private school for children mostly on the spectrum, doing ABA, and now I work in home.
Awesome. I want to give you guys a little bit of background on MeBe as well, since some of you might not be familiar with some of the services that we do provide. So we do provide ABA therapy, as well as speech and occupational therapy. And we do have a variety of locations as well. We're located in California, specifically in San Diego, the Bay Area, LA. We're opening up Temecula, as well as Orange County. We are located in Seattle, Washington, as well as Denver, Colorado. Texas, we are currently in, just opened Houston. We're also in Austin, and we're currently about to open Dallas. We are also in Arizona and Virginia as well. We are also going to be opening up some more locations, so keep checking our website for more locations as they come up. So some things we'll talk about tonight: setting up routines for your child, using visual supports for routines and for creating schedules, different questions to ask your teacher prior to school, and then how to set up your child for success. Creating a routine. It's really important to establish a routine for your child. A lot of our children really thrive off of routine and that repetition of a routine. So you really want to start creating that routine as soon as possible for whenever there is a schedule change. So right now you want to make sure you have a designated bedtime, especially if that's going to be, the time that they need to go to bed for school. You want to start that as early as possible. So that way they kind of get used to what time they need to go to bed when school does start. You also want to start to create schedules around school times. I know right now some schools might not let you know what times things are happening in the school, but we want to create a schedule around things that will happen. So, eating lunch around the time that your child would be eating lunch, kind of creating more of a structured time for them while they're currently not in school, so that they are prepared for that when they do go to school. Also, we want to touch upon the morning routine. I know the morning routine can be really tough for a lot of our kids and a lot of our families as well. Begin practice that morning routine now. It's important, again, to have that repetition for your child, and also to know how long each of these tasks takes your child. We have to work on brushing teeth, eating breakfast, getting dressed. All of those tasks can take a long period of time, depending on what support your child needs. Within each of these areas, you can also use visuals. They can help assist your child with the morning routine for these individual tasks, or just creating a schedule in general they should follow as they're doing their morning routine. So you could do a checklist. We'll show some visuals for you of different ones you can use. And then also for individual tasks like brushing teeth, you can also break down the task into different visuals so they know what step they should be on. Visuals can be created on a phone, or an iPad, or they can be printed and hung in the area your child's going to be using that. So for example, if you're going to be using a visual for brushing teeth, you can hang it in the bathroom, maybe on the mirror, so they can actually see that visual. Or if they have an iPad with them, you can also use that as you're kind of moving throughout the house, creating that schedule, that morning routine. Also, visual timers are also great. There's a picture at the bottom of the screen here where you can see one. A lot of our kids really like using them. And then once that time is up, some of them, a picture will actually start to appear. That can be used in multitude of ways. It could be used for your child to know maybe how long to brush their teeth for, how long maybe they need to sit on the potty in the morning, or maybe you want to use it as a motivator for them, right? To how quickly they should, it should take them to complete a task. So, oh, let's try and beat the timer this time. So you should be dressed by the time you see the picture that comes up here. So there's a couple different ways you can use those timers. And if you are currently receiving ABA services, your BCBA or supervisor that you're working with can also help you with how to individualize that for your child. So again, talking to your BCBA about ways to assist with that morning routine. Also picking your battles, and this is a really big one. Of course, we want our kids to be able to do all these things on their own, but we also want you to be able to pick and choose things that you're really going to follow through with. So maybe it takes, your child 20 minutes to brush their teeth, where it takes them 5 minutes to get dressed. Maybe you're going to push for them to individually have them get dressed on their own, where you're actually going to assist them with brushing their teeth instead. So your BCBA, again, can also help you with that. Or again, you yourself just pick, I'm going to push today where we're just going to work on them getting dressed and not really push for them to brush their own teeth or maybe brush their own hair. So again, important to pick your battles. Here are some examples of some visual schedules and timers that you can use. The one on the far left-hand side is an example of what a visual schedule could be for an entire day. Visual schedules can use a variety of pictures as well as words. So this one on the far left, you'll see use a picture and then a word underneath it. So the child associates the word and the picture together and then kind of goes through their day. On the bottom left, you'll see this is actually a liquid visual timer. So once all the liquid with a certain color goes through, then that timer is up. So again, a different version of a visual timer. In the center, we have a visual for brushing teeth. It kind of breaks down each individual step in brushing teeth, so that if your child gets stuck on a specific spot of the task, you can just go and point to which step they should be on. And you can use pictures from Google Images. You can also use pictures of your child actually doing these tasks themselves as well. And then on the far right-hand side, you'll see an afternoon routine to-do list. So this is maybe one you're going to do after school. You can put all the things they need to do, and then once they finish them, they can move them to that finish bar on the bottom. And then on the far right-hand bottom corner, you'll see another version of a visual timer as well, where as the time decreases, you'll see this red start to diminish, and it'll turn all white once the time is up. So these are some examples of ones that you can use with your child. Here are some examples too of some different applications you can use. So these are available through the Apple Store. I'm sure you can get them also for any kind of Android phone as well. The first one on the left-hand side is Timo. This one's a great app. It's a free app. You can make a routine and a schedule within the application itself. There is also timers embedded in it as well. So if you're working on, potty training and you want your kid to sit on the potty for a certain amount of time, there'll be a timer embedded in that as well. And it's really easy, user-friendly. The one in the middle is a kids to-do list. It's also a free app. And you can also add in your own voice recording into that one as well. So this is a great one that we refer a lot of parents to use as well. And then on the far right-hand corner, you'll see another app. That one's called ChoiceWorks. This one does cost money. It's about $15. There's different boards that you can use within it. You can see on this side, they'll start on the left-hand side. As they finish them, they'll move to the right-hand side. There's different boards that you can use. There's that schedule board. There's one for waiting. So if they have to wait for a task, it kind of breaks down what are different things they can do while they are waiting. And also, if they have different, it addresses feelings as well. So if they're feeling upset, what are some things they can do? So it also embeds some kind of coping strategies in there as well as they're kind of working through that routine.
Sorry, Megan. Sorry, just to jump in, quick question. What was the middle app called?
It was called Kids To-Do List.
Kids To-Do List. Thank you.
Yep. So those are just, again, some visuals that you can use, some applications you can use. Another thing you want to do with getting your child ready for school and that transition is really getting your child excited. for going back to school. There's some different things that they can assist with. Could be picking out a new outfit, or maybe an outfit that they already have in their closet they want to wear for that first day of school, picking out maybe a new lunchbox or a backpack, really kind of getting them involved in that process of going back to school. And then start talking about all the fun things that they will start doing when they go to school. So maybe they're going to be seeing their friends they haven't seen for a long time, or maybe they're going to be in a new classroom and they're going to learn some new things, maybe see a new teacher or see some familiar faces. So again, start talking about some of those fun things that they'll do at school as well. Of course, we can't really talk about going back to school without talking about COVID, unfortunately, these days. So it also is important to check with your school ahead of time to know what their COVID procedures will be. Will there be social distancing or a mask mandate in the school? Important to kind of prime your child before going to school what that will look like. There also might be limits on the toys that maybe are accessible, or if they're able to access the playground. So you definitely want to check in with your school about what they are going to require when you guys go back to school in person. Also, keep in mind, are there certain COVID procedures that you want your child to follow regardless of what the school is requiring? So do you want your child to wash their hands a certain amount of times? Do you want your child to be wearing that mask? And then kind of talk to them about that ahead of time too, so they know what they should be doing, even though maybe the other kids in the classroom aren't doing that as well.
So that kind of leads right into what I'm going to talk about perfectly, because we're going to talk about what you should be talking to your teacher about, what kind of questions you want to ask. Obviously, the COVID precautions would be a great place to start. And in addition, you want to know potentially who are their teachers, who is on your child's team. If they receive other services, you may want to know the names of those professionals, how you can contact with them and collaborate with them. What's the classroom size? How many children are in the classroom, and what do their routines look like? You obviously know they're going to do certain things, like you can prepare them for unpacking, going into the room, they'll eat at some point and have recess. But what kind of goes on in between that? Again, the services provided, not only the team who works with your child, but do they take transportation? Is this the first time your child is taking transportation potentially to school, like a bus or a van? See if you can ask the school about what that would actually look like. And maybe you want to prepare your child for where it's going to pick them up. Is it going to be a van? Is it going to be a bus? Are you driving them to school? Those would all be great things to know. And then what do you want home and school communication to look like? School might have a set system where they send home a report, maybe on a weekly basis. If you want something different, that would definitely be something you talk to your teacher about ahead of time. And then also, are there any reward systems already in place at the school? So we'll go into that a little bit more. So those are a lot of questions. What do you want to do with this information? So knowing all these answers can help you set expectations. If you have clear expectations, you will have less problem behaviors. So how do you do this? You could create a social story. You can establish a routine like Meghan spoke about, and we'll expand on that a little bit by kind of adding in maybe a drive-by to the school. And then also, if you do receive ABA and you are currently working with the BCBA, or if you plan to start working with one, this is something that they could also help you with, is kind of bridging that gap between home and school and establishing maybe a reinforcement system. So social stories. Can everyone just kind of chime in? Does anyone have experience working with social stories? Have we ever used them? Has anyone heard of them?
And I'll just remind you, if you maybe just joined too, you can put your comments or questions into the chat box, and then I can read them from there. Yes, so somebody so far, yes, love them. Sorry, I think it takes a second. So we have a couple yeses.
Okay, great. So that's great to hear you're familiar with them. So they're obviously narratives, and they should be very specific, right, to the either skill or event that's coming up, and you want to make it as custom as possible. So it can help your child understand an upcoming event. You also will want to consider using them in conjunction with either establishing a new routine, maybe also showing them the school if that's possible by even driving by, because I think we could probably all agree that everyone can learn, yes, from seeing a visual, pictures, being told what's coming up, but you may also need to do it, right? You may need to do parts of the routine, or you may actually need to go see what it looks like. So there's a couple different ways you can create them, similar to what Megan was talking about earlier. They could be as simple as pictures on your phone. You can find pictures, save them to your phone, organize them in such a way so that you just flip through and you're talking to your child about them. You could also make one in Word or PowerPoint. I do have a link for everyone. Autism Speaks has a template that you can use. We could try to give you that link. You could also Google Autism Speaks social stories template and it pops right up. They have a couple of PowerPoints you can click on and you can just edit them. So you could click on any of the pre-made PowerPoints and then you can edit them yourself. There are some App Store ones. So the one that's pictured below is called Social Story Creator. It's $30 to make any social story you want custom, but they also have preloaded ones. So the free option is that you can get a back to school story, it's just not custom. And then for $30, you can make whichever one you would like. And then there's obviously the free option of either the PowerPoints or the Word or just pictures on your phone. So what we have next, I use the template from the Autism Speaks site to kind of make a couple of different slides for you of what this could look like. So this is just an example in PowerPoint of what that could be. So again, I know we haven't maybe all heard from our teachers yet, but even if you could get some of this information right before school starts, a day or two, that would be super helpful. So the more realistic pictures you can get, the better. So I would include an actual picture of your child's school on the front. This could just be an example cover page.
Sorry, there's a lag, Marissa.
It's okay. And then you just kind of want to give them a little bit of a rundown what's going to happen, right? So on whichever date, let's say August 24th, I'll be going to a new school, their old school, and it's called, insert the school name. So on that date, I'll get up and get ready, grab my backpack, I'll get in the car, insert however they're going to get to school, include a picture if that's possible. If you are coming up with a routine and using visuals in the morning, it would be great to reference that here.
Sorry, it's going. Sorry, I think it's one.
So those are just a couple of examples. Oh, we missed one. So if you can get a picture of this, that would be awesome. So when I get to school, I'll go to my classroom and you can include a picture. Now, the more information you can get, the better, obviously. If you could even get pictures of what the teacher looks like, that would be amazing. But even again, if it's just the simple stuff of at least that morning routine, what's going to happen leading up to, and then I'm going to get to my school, would be setting very clear expectations for your child and can kind of give them a guideline of as to what's happening. So what can you do instead, or I would even say in addition to social stories? So you could do a trial drive. You could go by the school. Maybe it's a brand new school, or maybe it's just about getting back into that routine. So maybe you're working on all the steps of the morning routine, and then you're going to go as far as to every morning, maybe the week, a couple days before school, you're going to get in the car and actually take that ride. So they can see the school ahead of time. This would especially be awesome if this is the first time they're going to the school. And you can kind of show them what that routine will look like ahead of time. It also gives you a chance to see if there are any issues that arise, you know about them ahead of time. So you know about them ahead of time. That's something you could potentially tackle with one of the strategies we've talked about. Or again, if you are working with the BCBA or plan to, this would be something that they could assist you with. And then reinforcement systems from the classroom to home. I think sometimes there's a gap between school and then home, especially if you do receive services or even if you don't. Sometimes your child comes home from school and you don't happened, right? Maybe they're not able to communicate what happened to you at school. So having either you or the assistance of your BCBA help you out with understanding, are there any like sticker charts or self-monitoring systems? Maybe they come home with a note at the end of each day that shows you how they did, anything that lets you know how they did, and then coming up with what can you do about that at home. And that's something that your BCBA would really be able to help you with, because you may want to be rewarding a great day at school, so that your child can come home, show you that, and then see that there is a connection and you are involved. So I guess I'll pause for questions there. Any questions so far about some of the visuals we've talked about?
We'll just give it a second so that people have a chance to type anything in. So just write anything into the chat box if you've got a question. I did also put the link for the instructions that you mentioned in here, and I will send that link in the follow-up email as well, just in case you can't grab it out of the chat. I'll send that as part of the follow-up. I don't see any questions yet. So if I see anything, oh, sorry, one person did say, not a question, just a comment, very helpful reminders. Thank you. So that's great.
Great. So lastly, I just want to go over services. So you may be familiar with this already, but again, just another reminder, if your child does have an IEP, where you can find out those services. So they will be at the bottom of the IEP in a box that looks similar to the one that's shown, and it'll outline how much time they might be in general education, how much time potentially in specialized academic instruction, speech, OT, whatever services they receive. And then with this information, you could then find out from your teachers who is on your child's team, because it may have changed from the previous year, who is like the speech pathologist, so that you can get in touch with them. And then also, this is something, again, that your ABA team at home could assist you with, is collaborating with these people and understanding maybe what speech goals are being worked on at school, or how speech is approaching something. Maybe what is OT doing to tackle a certain thing at school. Those would all be great things in areas that your BCBA can collaborate with those professionals on.
And I think that's it. Does anyone have any other questions or comments?
Let's see, I don't see anything in the chat box yet, so I'll just remind you, if you have anything, you can put it into the chat box and then we can see that. And then you can feel free to reply back to the email when I send that follow-up with the link to the resources. If something does come to mind, then you can feel free to respond to that email as well, and I can pass that along to our team if you have any questions later on. I don't see any questions coming through yet. I think that was very good. I know that as a parent of 2 young kids, I'm taking notes myself, so thank you. We are getting another thank you very much. Thank you for good information, helpful tips. So I think this is great. All right, I think we can probably close it out. I will just remind everybody, so I'll post the recording onto the MeBe family website as well as YouTube channel. We do have all of our previous MeBe Learning webinars available on our MeBe family YouTube channel as well. So you can go through and check out some other topics. We have a whole webinar dedicated to visual schedules. So if that's something that you're interested in, there's a lot of information there as well. Oh, we got another thank you and a hello, somebody. So thank you so much. So definitely check us out on YouTube, and then follow MeBe Family on Instagram and Facebook as well. If you're on those platforms, we provide helpful tips, and we're always happy to engage on those channels as well. We don't have any more questions, so thank you everybody for joining us tonight. And we will next month in September, we're having a webinar on social skills. So I know that's a popular topic, and I will include the link to that webinar in the follow-up email as well. All right, no more thank you. So thank you again so much. Have a nice rest of your evening, and we'll hope to see you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.